Hi, my name is Tarek Morshed. I'm a market leader at Kuper Sotheby's International Realty in Austin, Texas, and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Home Podcast. This podcast is where Austin's most successful men and women discuss their journeys and the entrepreneurial home that empowers them to thrive in business and in life. On today's episode, we have Leslie Harmon. Leslie is the owner and creative director at Made by Cleo, the ultimate destination for quality pet collars, ID tags, and accessories for cats and small dogs. She brings over 10 years of experience from her former career in corporate design and marketing, building industry leading brands, and working with designers to develop creative assets for in-house corporate clients. She first launched her pet accessories business in the fall of 2012. So you're going 5-6 years strong. Yeah. Actually, yes, I guess 6 years strong.
6 years, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And decided to take the plunge and go full time with it in 2015. Since then, her brand and e-commerce business have quickly grown to become one of the leading and established players in the cat accessories market. Made by Cleo's products are sold all over the world and have been featured in Good Housekeeping, Country Living, Traditional Home, Modern Cat, and numerous other publications. Leslie, before we go into the first question, I just want to make sure, I thought it was just for cats. Mm-hmm. I know I mentioned dogs. Correct me on that if I need to be corrected.
Well, the cat market is our primary market,
Okay.
but we also serve the small dog market as
Okay.
well. So the little guys.
Got it, yes. Okay, perfect. And the second thing I'll say is thank you for being here. You and I have known each other for a few years now, right?
Yeah.
And it's been awesome to get to know you as a human being and a fellow entrepreneur in our journeys in Accelerators, a program and incubator for entrepreneurs in Austin through EO. And it's just been awesome. It's been really good to be with you and learn from you and contribute to you in our journeys.
I feel likewise.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed getting to know you and the rest of the group at EO or EO Accelerator, and I appreciate you inviting me to be here. So.
Absolutely. So, talk to us about your entrepreneurial journey. Where it started, where you've been, where you're at now, where you're going. There's I think a awesome little display and some product from your company, which I think is going to be perfect for you to kind of lead us through some of that in that story. So go for it. Tell us about all of that.
Thanks. I guess I'll kind of rewind and go all the way back to the beginning, because the very beginning of all this goes back to basically high school. There was a summer where I had a lot of free time, like you always do in high school. And my parents paid for a sewing class that I really wanted to take. And that was, I think, the year that I learned how to drive. And I endeavored for some reason to try and make a blazer, which was like ridiculously ambitious for a first time sewing project. And I failed at that miserably, but I continued to work on my sewing skills, and I would just work on random projects on the side. And then fast forward later to 2001, and it's my last year of college, and I'm unloading groceries out of my car, and this little black blur runs by my feet in the parking lot, and it was a kitten, and I ended up taking him in. His name is Cleo, and he became my cat. I didn't have any pets at the time. I had never had a cat before. Didn't know anything about that world. But yeah, he's basically a little dumpster kitty, and I rescued him, and he's basically stolen my heart since, and he's the muse for my company, which I started in 2012.
Nice.
He was constantly losing his collars outside, which is something that cats do. And it's important for them to wear collars with identification so they don't look like they're strays and get impounded.
Right.
And so that if they get lost, people can bring them home. And so he always needed to wear one of those. And I was constantly buying them at PetSmart, and they looked terrible. They were so basic. And, it was unfortunate because the dog market gets all the fun. So many cool styles, but cats, there was,
they were getting
slim
no love.
pickings. Yeah, it was really basic. So, I was constantly complaining about how, simple and just unexciting it was, and annoying. And somebody, I don't remember if it was a friend or my significant other, just kind of put me to the task. It's like, scratch your own itch, like make something that you want them to wear. And so I did, and I ended up really liking doing that. And I got kind of obsessed about it, and I launched a little shop on Etsy, and that was kind of like
and when was that about?
That was the fall of 2012.
Okay, got it.
And so it was right before the holiday season, which really helped with kind of getting the momentum going with sales. And it just kind of spiraled from there. I got really into every aspect of growing the business, both like the production side, but also just all the other considerations that you have to make, marketing, building your brand, and working on like quality control and dealing with customer service. All of that was completely new, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed the challenge. So I was juggling that with my day job for quite a while,
yes.
but yeah, I went full time with that in 2015, and just been going full steam since. So
got it. So since 2015, gives a sense of what that's looked like in terms of growth and scaling, and where do you see yourself going?
So we've been growing very rapidly, pretty much since the beginning, but especially once I decided to go full time. And that was a really big decision, because I had a very comfortable, reliable paycheck that I was very happy with, and just the reputation and all that of like my previous career.
Got it.
It's easy to get attached to that, but I left that, focused completely on the business, and I never looked back after that. So we've been growing basically 40% or more each year, and obviously that kind of growth necessitates bringing on help and other people and improving your systems. And I started out working at home, and eventually I had to move operations outside because I just didn't have enough storage space.
Got it.
And plus, I'm not going to hire people to work in my home.
Yeah.
So we moved the operations out to a studio space that was pretty close to my home, and then eventually we outgrew that space, and so now we're in the office that we're in right now.
Got it.
It's been an incredible journey, and I'm extremely thankful for the support that I've gotten out of the EO Accelerator group and my fellow small business owner friends, and we're continuing to build our brand and build our reach, so it's fully international, and especially work on like the wholesale end of things in addition to the e-commerce end. We're working on that name recognition and
great,
just taking it one step at a time.
And remind me on the website address.
It's madebycleo.com, so it's just like made by Cleo.com.
Got it. Awesome. Great takeaways as you were talking. One, really aligning your purpose and passion around a business or a concept, and then also really figuring out what's the unique value proposition. It sounds like you kept running into something missing out there, and from a personal need place. And then it all of a sudden fed your creativity around design and that kind of a thing. So you really merged those passions and created a purpose as a business. So that's really, really cool. Very cool. So, kind of piggybacking on just the last part of what you were sharing, how has Austin's real estate market impacted your business? Because you've made a few moves as you've scaled, and there's been some, things that have come out of that.
I'd say there's a couple of effects that the growing, really aggressive and successful real estate market has had on us. Obviously, it's grown very significantly in the last 5 years, and housing prices are up, and the supply is down, so it's very limited at least. And so when housing prices go up, obviously that creates some pressure on employers to have to compensate their employees to
That's a great
be
point.
proportionate to, the rising housing costs. So, especially when you're working with like part-time workers, when people are paid hourly, like you definitely like feel the pinch, and there's more expectation to pay more to be more competitive. Whereas like if we were, operating in San Antonio or a small rural town,
Right.
we just wouldn't feel that quite as much.
Makes sense.
So our hourly rate is a lot higher than you would find anywhere else, and we do that because I don't want to deal with turnover. I want good people who are going to
Makes
stick
sense.
around and who can be happy with like their wages and their ability to afford the really high cost of living here. The other thing is the supply. It makes it kind of tricky to find office space these days. We really wanted to get a space that would serve our needs in terms of like square footage for industrial purposes and just like the retail office kind of stuff. But I really wanted to be close to where I live because it's a quality of life kind of thing. I don't want to have to drive like way out to the suburbs. I live pretty much close to downtown. I don't need to work in a high rise, but I need to be close, and I want it to be a short commute. So that was kind of tricky because most of it's like residential, and there's just not a lot of supply around there. So it took a while to find a space that really worked for us, that was still within our budget. But we persisted, and we were able to find something. So.
You were. That's great. That's great. That's great. You make a couple of key points there. One, I do think location, for the entrepreneur, the founder, and their business is so key now because not just, hey, there's the rising cost, but there's also the time to travel.
Yeah. Definitely.
Right? And when you're the entrepreneur and you're the founder, being located close to, whether it's your home to your office or other supporting environments that support you, that makes a huge exponential difference in your business, because if you're 3 hours on the road or even 2 hours on the road, that's 2 hours of massive creativity, productivity, ideas, team build, you could go on and on and on. So no, that makes a lot of sense that you chose intentionally in that way, outside of just, hey, you don't want to drive,
right. It was really
away.
important to us. So.
Yes. And you have to get pretty creative with your office space.
Yeah, the second place, I had mentioned before that I used to work out of my home, and then I moved operations to a small studio space outside. And so it was in Terrytown. It's like a condo complex, so it's technically residential.
You got it.
Yeah, it felt slightly illegitimate, but you got to do what you got to do.
As an entrepreneur, you got to do what you got to do. That's
just
right.
kind of bootstrap it and start from there, and
So you had a team working there in your home.
I did. Well, it wasn't in my home outside. Like I didn't.
Oh,
we
that's
didn't
right.
work
That's right.
like where I lived.
Got it.
Thankfully, it was separate. So it looked like an office, but it was like basically inside a condo apartment-looking thing.
That's great. So talk to me a little bit about how important is an entrepreneur's surrounding environment, whether it's at the home or at the office or co-working space. What's that like for you?
I think it's an extremely important consideration. Being an aesthetically driven kind of person, I think that like the last 15 years I've been practicing, I guess putting to practice the belief that like people are extremely influenced by what they see and what they can touch, and it affects their emotions and their behaviors. And so making sure that your environment, whether it's where you live or where you work, is super important. It's for both the entrepreneur and anybody who works with them. People need to like where they work and be happy, and that the actual context, the environment that they're operating in can't be something that's like dragging them down.
Makes sense.
There's too many other problems that you're going to be dealing with work that you don't need those kinds of things to bring you down. So things like, some of it's like very superficial sounding, but like lighting, I mean, some people don't think about that. I'm really like particular about making sure there's an ample amount of light, the color temperature's right. I'm really fussy about that. Like everywhere I've ever worked, whether it's at home or in that little studio or in our current office, like that was a big consideration, and I'll throw a lot of money at it to make sure that the environment feels good. So the lighting is really good. And one of the biggest things is making sure that there is a specific place for everything that you use in your work to live like consistently. Like so that is like organizational infrastructure.
Got it.
Some people don't take the time to do that, and maybe it's just because I'm very type A and like OCD. I need everything to be in its place, and all that. But I can't work well when there's chaos around me.
No,
like I'll spend time cleaning up before I can like really dive into something. So yeah, the physical environment needs to be relatively organized because you're going to waste so much time just like moving things around.
Yes.
Trying to hunt for things that you lost, inventory stuff, if it's not organized. So spend the money and the time to plan that out really wisely. Go to IKEA, Container Store, whatever,
Sure.
and like get that done.
That's phenomenal. There's, you get several, I think, nuggets there that I want to highlight because I think it's really valuable. One, really being in an environment, whether it's at your home or your office, that's aesthetically pleasing. And that doesn't mean you have to go spend $1 million.
Yeah, definitely not.
Right?
There's lots of
There's
economical
lots of hacks
ways to do that.
right? Both for you and your employees. So just your space around you really does impact your productivity, right?
Yeah.
And what you create. The lighting, I think, is so huge. So I'm really glad you brought that up. When we talk to a lot of our clients, and we talk about their home that they're purchasing and them being entrepreneurs and how to really set up lighting for optimal, whether it's natural light and being around windows in that office space and where you work, or just even lighting in general, right? Hard lighting versus soft lighting. So there's all kinds of benefits around that for the entrepreneur. And what was the last one you had mentioned?
Like the organization.
The organization, yes. And that's so. Just to kind of touch on that, I think every entrepreneur I talk to just about mentions that at some point or another, right? That if we're not organized, it just creates chaos in our business. So I'm really
you waste
glad
a lot of time and money if you don't get organized.
Yes, that's great. And I think, a lot of times people think, hey, I've got to go spend a lot of money on that, but you just mentioned, the Container Store and IKEA, which are relevantly affordable, right, are awesome solutions to that and getting your home office set up properly or your business office. That's great. So kind of continuing on this thread, if you will, of environments and workspace, there was, you have, again, congratulations, you have a little one on the way. You do have your workspace at your office, but I'm assuming you also do some work at home and you're married, and so tell us a little bit about how do you protect and really create productivity at home in your home office, and then how do you see that working with a kid on the way, if you've delved into that or not?
So I'm gonna fess up and say that it's early enough that I haven't dedicated like all my resources and time and thought to exactly how I'm gonna like optimize all that. So a lot of that remains to be sorted out, but I mean, I have a few ideas. But I mean, even currently, number one, I'm grateful that I have the separation of like physical spaces. So work is now separate from like home. So I really try not to bring anything physical like back home. But obviously I'm gonna work on stuff. There's stuff in my mind, and I have my computer. I like working from a desktop. I have a laptop, but I've got my desktop set up. I've got my own office area, and I need a door that I can close and like really I need to be in a cave basically to really like get into flow. And plus my cat's really needy, and I'm sure once I have a baby it'll be a similar parallel kind of situation. So I need some kind of like way to define the space, and that's been effective for you. Yeah, it's been very helpful. Great. But it is really important for me to have a dedicated place where I can do work. And some people are different. Some people are very flexible about like, just kind of flowing through like different places to work with their laptop, and they can go to like coffee shops and get stuff done. I'm not one of those people. I need to be working in a very specific place. with certain things that are very familiar to me, like my lighting.
Got it.
So that's what works for me. But yeah, I have carved out like a very dedicated place where I consistently work, and I try and make, I set up rules for myself about when I'm going to do that and when I'm not.
I don't know
So
what this guy's doing in here.
he wants to listen in.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I think the division really helps.
Got it. Okay, yeah. So for you, what's really effective is the division, but also within that, making sure there's consistent quiet.
Yes.
There's not a lot of noise,
Mhm.
and then also lighting. And when you say lighting, by the way, is it you're actually bringing in lighting into the space?
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I love natural light, and if one has the luxury to have that, which we do, then that's a
Great.
blessing. But yeah, like augmented lighting. So like I'm often working like at nighttime, when I came home from work, and so yeah, just making sure that you've got like the lamps that you need just to like create the vibe that you want to work in. And if you operate well with like music and stuff, like headphones, things
Right.
like that, good seating, like very comfortable seating. Like some people
Yes.
put up with like terrible office chairs for way too long.
Yes.
And so everything that I use for work, like I really love, and it's just right for me. And it's carefully picked out. So
And all of that makes a huge difference for you.
it does, yeah.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
if you're going to spend so many hours doing
Right.
a certain kind of thing, you better really love that environment.
Right,
So,
right. No, that's spot on. That's spot on. This has been awesome. I've learned a lot, so thank you for sharing everything you did. Anything that you'd like to share before we wrap up? Parting thoughts, questions, anything?
I don't actually.
Okay.
But yeah, if anybody has a cat or a small dog, check out our website. It's madebycleo.com, and we offer premium pet collars, bow tie accessories, engraved ID tags, all that good
Nice.
stuff.
The bow tie accessories. I keep
Yes,
forgetting
yes.
about those. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For cats and dogs?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna have to get Stella one of those
Yeah,
for
I'll
sure.
look you up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tarek.
Yeah, thank you.